us for our weekly seminar on how to sell your house, the 9.5 things you need to know in today's market to get top dollar for your house in the most efficient manner possible. Also, too, in case you can't stick around, we've got a download for you. It's called the Sellability Scale. Simply go to our website blog, and on the replay, we're going to put that in the comments so you can find it. You can go right to the Sellability Scale, download that thing, and have automatically 10 tips on things you need to do that are not real expensive, but they're going to have a huge bang for your buck in getting the most money possible out of your house. We wrote this a while ago out of a lot of research, and it was one of our most popular downloads we've ever done. So we're bringing it back again because people really seem to like it. But today, let's go ahead and get into the webinar itself, into the seminar, about 20 minutes. The part of the reason we do these via Restream is we're coming to you on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and you can kind of dive in and out of these whenever you want to. You can catch them on a replay, or you can just look back at our timeline and find them and watch them at any time. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into this. If you're joining us today, thank you so much for doing so. If you're catching us on the replay, thank you very much. We really appreciate that. So that's why we do these seminars the way we do them. So let's talk about the first in getting your house sold, and that is pricing. Now, pricing, I will tell you right now, is very, very interesting in today's market because it is all over the board. Normally, we use something called the TMO report, Total Market Overview, and it gives a snapshot of the last 6 months of pricing, and it bands it. It was what it does. So like 250 to 300. 350 to 400, that kind of thing. And it tells us days on market via price category. It tells us all kinds of things in there. But that snapshot of the last 6 months is not super accurate right now. We're definitely taking that into consideration. However, as you all know that are watching this, interest rates have gone up quite a bit. Now, we've seen them gone down just a little bit in the last few days. However, they are still much, much higher than most folks are expecting right now. And everybody's a little bit nervous in the market. So pricing is probably your number one marketing tool to get eyeballs on your house. Gone are the days right now of shooting for the moon if you're a seller. You really don't want to do that because you are not views on your home. You're not going to get showings, and you're not going to get that house sold for what you want to get it sold for. As a matter of fact, if you do that long enough and don't listen to your realtor that's telling you to reduce that price, the sharks are going to come out and they're going to start sending you lowball offers, and that's all you're going to have to choose from. So ultimately, it's not the best idea to do. Now, you also want to price it correctly because you don't want to start off too low. You don't want to start off too high. Part of the reason you don't want to start off too low is it becomes a feeding frenzy, which, hey, let's face it, it makes for great HGTV. But in real life, trust me, it sucks. You won't enjoy it, and you don't want to have to deal with all 15 offers that you get. Sounds good for TV, but 15 offers, not really a fun thing to do, okay? So the second thing that you need to know in order to sell your house is the timeline transaction, how that goes. Now, this varies from state, but the pieces are all kind of the same. Once you get your house listed, out on the market, and you get an offer and you accept it, maybe there's a little bit of negotiation back and forth, that first initial contract date, the meeting of the minds, is that date where the clock starts. And the first checkpoint when you're in that transaction, when you've agreed just to work with that buyer as the seller, you're only working with one buyer now, you've accepted their offer. That first transaction checkpoint is where the buyer turns in earnest money. Earnest money is basically like a deposit to tell people how serious you are about that house. So that's due typically in 3 days. Now, that may be 3 business days. In the state of Washington, it is 3 business days. And you want to get that in as fast as you possibly can. The second transaction checkpoint is negotiations for repairs, getting those inspections done, all of that. Now, in the state of Washington, it's 10 calendar days. In the state of Oregon, Excuse me, in the state of Washington, it's 10 calendar days. In the state of Oregon, it's 10 business days. So you have to watch those transaction timelines very, very closely. We'll talk about transaction coordination here in a little bit, because as you can tell, even I, who has a broker's license in Washington, Oregon, and Oklahoma, can get them confused on occasion. It's pretty easy to do that. So you want to make sure that you know those really, really well with that transaction timeline. After those repair negotiations are done and you've all agreed to what you're doing there, that's really when the lender takes over and the escrow officers take over, and they get the deed ready for transfer. The lender gets the loan funded. And at the very end of the process, maybe 30, 45 days, whatever the contract states that you guys came to agree, at the end of that time frame, that's when the deed transfers over at the county, and that's actually closing. So that's kind of the transaction process that everybody goes through when they buy and they sell. Okay. The third thing you need to really know is to have good photography. I'll tell you, I've been a part of numerous transactions on the buy side to where we've been the only offer because the photography on the house was not real good. Matter of fact, one of my own family transactions, we pulled up to the place and it's like, man, this place looks awesome. It really does. But in the photos, it didn't look real good. You know, they took it at the wrong time of day. The sun was just like bleaching out the entire front of the house. You couldn't tell if there was any texture on it. So that professional photography is super, super important. And whatever you do, please, I'm begging you, as a professional in real estate, avoid the fisheye lens. Don't let somebody do that to your house. It makes everything look absolutely horrific. So don't do that, please. And kind of a hobby of mine, bad MLS photos. If you want to go to the Tanner Realty Group Facebook page or my own personal Facebook page, which you might be watching this on right now, check out some of the bad MLS photos. I get a kick out of them. Kind of a hobby of mine is to repost those, and I love them. The third thing that you need to do and know about in order to truly sell your house well in today's market is video, both drone as well as walkthrough video. You want to make sure that your property is represented in the best light possible. So drone video and walkthrough video on your house. Here's why the walkthrough videos is important. Still photography is awesome. Good still photography is awesome. However, you want that walkthrough of a video so when people watch it, either on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever they see it, or on Zillow for that matter, they can get a truly accurate representation of what that house is truly like. Because if they see something in the still photography, they're thinking, okay, that might work. They see that in a video walkthrough, and all of a sudden they're going, okay, that place is cool and that's going to fit my needs. And it gives them a real accurate representation of what that property truly feels like. And in our case at TRG, what we do is we do an intro, we do some nice music, we do a full walkthrough of the house, we use that drone video, and then we do a quick outro, really highlighting the property. Now, I've mentioned the drone video a couple of times. Part of the reason that's important is because you're able to get that drone several hundred feet up in the air. Make sure you have a drone pilot who's got his license and all that good stuff, because otherwise the FAA will not take kindly to that. But what we do is we get that drone up in the air and you can see how close parks are. You can see how close schools are, how close a house is to the road. And the main thing that I did not anticipate when we first started using drone video is people started commenting on the roof. I didn't expect that at all. I thought, hey, this is a really cool new technology that we can utilize, and just kind of a neat new thing, right? And it didn't cost a whole lot. So we started putting that in our videos. And the first time we did that, we did some really cool shots of the roof where the drone came up. And the feedback we automatically got was, man, that roof looks really good. When was that redone? Those gutters are totally clean, because the video quality is such that you can actually see if the gutters are clean or not. So kind of an important thing to do. The next thing you do, number 5, okay, if you're keeping track at home, number 5 is, in order to properly market your house, something you really need to know and you need to do is a 3D tour. Now, we have the systems to do that, but people can actually move, and I'm sure you've seen them, they can click through and they can move into different rooms and spin around as if they are there. It's a really cool technology. We also take it a step further. And in addition to a 3D tour, we come up with the 2D floor plan, just as if your house were a brand new build. So people can look at that two-dimensional floor plan and think, hey, I want to put the couch here. I think the table should go here. This would be a great spot for a setup. Now, are they going to do that? Hey, who knows? But it gives them a starting point on where they can start placing furniture and what the house looks like. And it gets more eyeballs on your house, which ultimately is really my job. My job is to get as many eyeballs on your house to get it sold for the best price in the most time-efficient manner possible. Now, the next thing, number 6, another thing you need to know is MLS representation. And this is all over the entire country, okay? We're licensed in 3 states, Washington, Oregon, and Oklahoma, but this goes through the entire country. The multiple listing service is different in every single area. In the Vancouver, Portland metro area, it is the regional multiple listing service. In Oklahoma City, it is the MLS OK. So you want to make sure you're dealing with a realtor who's a part of the local multiple listing service, because that's where all of the agents who have buyers go to look for properties. So make sure that your realtor puts that on the multiple listing service. It's also where other websites go to pull information from. Like TannerRealtyGroup.com, for example, we have the systems in place that we actually go to the MLS and we pull all of that information. It's updated about every 10 to 12 minutes. We pull all of that information so the newest, freshest listings are on our website. Now, the other big websites, Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, all the others, do the exact same thing. They have the same technology, but if your property is not on that MLS, it's never going to be seen by my website, by Zillow, by Redfin, by Trulia, unless you go through and put them on there, which you really don't have the time to do. That's why you hire a realtor in the first place. Digital marketing is another thing you really need to know about in selling your house. Digital marketing is huge. Now, number one, you're seeing this because of our digital marketing. You're seeing this because, hey, you're either on YouTube or Facebook now, and we put our listings on all of those platforms as well. People love to go through those listing videos and see them on digital marketing. Everybody starts their house hunt on the internet now. Everybody does. I think the numbers are like 99.8%. The 0.2, I don't know where those people live, but everybody starts their search on the internet. So we want to make sure and give the most high quality presentation of your property as possible on every platform we possibly can that will allow us to do so. The digital marketing that most agents do, by the way, is pretty pathetic. You really don't want to just have a realtor click and share it with his family and friends because, hey, my mom is going to like every single thing I post. I appreciate that about my mom. I love my mom. However, my mom's not going to buy your property, okay? She won't. She's going to like it, therefore her friends will see it. However, most of them follow me too. If I just share that with my family and friends, it really doesn't go very far. So we actually put ad campaigns in place that are targeted not only to the local area, but we have the research in place to know where people are moving in from. And I can tell you in the Vancouver, Portland metro area, they're moving in from Seattle, Los Angeles, and the Bay Area. So guess where we also advertise your listing? In Oklahoma City, they're moving in from Dallas, California, and the Northwest. Guess where we publicize your listing? Not just in the local area, we get it out to target it to those other areas. So people that are thinking about moving into OKC or thinking about moving into the Vancouver, Portland metro area are going to see that. So digital marketing is huge. You want to make sure your realtor pays for it, not just the, hey, mom and dad, here's a property I listed. That doesn't make any sense, and it won't make you any money on your house, okay? The next thing you really need to know is you need a transaction coordinator. hire a realtor with a transaction coordinator, please. Here, you heard me at the beginning of this video even get confused on a few of the repair dates. Now, guys, I know them inside and out, okay? I really do. And when we're in the transaction, I have my transaction checklist and I go through them. So I know those inside and out. However, if you have a realtor like myself that has multiple properties under contract at the same time, you need more than one brain on all of those transactions. You need somebody who's very good with details. Most realtors aren't, by the way. That's why I hired transaction coordination services. I have never entered in one of my own properties to the MLS. I've always had a TC, transaction coordinator, that has done that for me because I know that I can do the details, but there's people out there like we have on our staff here at TRG that are way more detailed and way better at details than I ever could be. So I make sure that I hire those people around me so everybody can be better and our clients are taken care of. But that transaction coordinator is going to take care of everything from contract all the way to closing. And they're going to provide an outline exactly when everything needs to happen on a state-by-state, case-by-case, property-by-property basis. So you know you're being really well taken care of and your property is getting individual attention even when we have many properties under contract at the same time. Now, the next thing is you need to know what turns off potential buyers. We live in such a divisive culture right now. You know, you simply look at the presidential polls from the last election, and it was pretty much 50-50, right? As far as the polling goes up to the election. And so people are split right down the middle. I've seen people in every state that I work in that if they have something political, whether it be left-leaning or right-leaning or whatever, it turns off half of your potential buyers. Don't do that. Keep your house as neutral as you possibly can. That way you appeal to the biggest audience possible. You don't want to offend half your buyers when they come in. That doesn't make any sense. It automatically cuts your buyer pool right in half. You may have somebody with the opposite political leanings as you who wants to pay you handsomely for your house. Now, if they want to give you a great full price offer on your house, are you really going to begrudge them their political views? Well, personally, I think you're nuts if you do that because the objective is to get your house sold for the most money in the most time efficient manner. And we're not going to let things like political views or discussions or social issues get in the way of that. Okay? We're not going to do that. So those are things that really turn off buyers. You don't want to be polarizing. Keep everything as neutral as you possibly can, please. Now, I promised 9.5 things. We just got wrapped up with number 9. What's the half? Why do I say 9.5? Well, number one, it gets people's attention. But number two, here's the half, okay? It is far and away the most important possibly do to get your house sold for the most money in the most time efficient manner. Here it is, a deep cleaning on your house. Some people say, hey, I want my house to smell like fresh baked cookies when people come in the door. I think that's a terrible idea. In the Northwest, if people have a gluten allergy, they're going to freak out about that. So number one, don't do that. But if somebody comes in and they smell old school Pine Sol and they know that that place has been scrubbed top to bottom, that's the house I want to walk into. I want to know that it's been well taken care of and it has been prepped. Also, if there's an overly strong smell like of cookies or Glade or something like that, I'm wondering what people are covering up. Now, yes, I realize I can be a little cynical with that kind of thing. However, if I go in and I smell a house that's been really cleaned well and you smell that deep cleaning, and you've been in houses that have been cleaned really, really well, you can tell. And that's the kind of house that somebody will want to buy. So that's the far important thing you want to do in selling your house. So those are the 9.5 things that you can do to sell your house that you need to know in this market. Now, in addition, I mentioned this earlier, we also have something called the sellability scale. If you want to download that, hey, send us a message. Go to tannerrealtygroup.com. It's on our blog. It's right up at the top. And so you can check that out. If you see one of our YouTube ads, it's also in there as well. But that sellability scale has 10 things in order to prep your house for market. They're not very expensive. They won't take you very long, but they're going to make a huge difference in how your house is presented to the open market. So take the chance and maybe make a few thousand, maybe a few tens of thousands more on your house by taking our advice and getting that house prepped for sale using our Tanner Realty Group sellability scale. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're hitting us on the replay, thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button to make sure that you see our upcoming ads. If you're seeing us on Facebook, thanks for joining us, as well as LinkedIn. Have a great day. I'm Mike Tanner with Tanner Realty Group. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out.